And thank you, Madanji, for a wonderful session. Like I said, it's a perfect segue to drink the nectar of Bhagavad Gita, which has been referred to as Sarva Upanishado Gava Dogdha Gopalanandana. So the milk that has been extracted for us, pretty much the entire essence of the scriptures by none other than Lord Krishna, who is the milkman here, and we are devouring it like that calf. So we will continue, and today we will try to make sense of our sense. Okay, we'll see whether our senses truly make sense or they are completely nonsense. Okay, so let's get started. We will get started by invoking the blessings of God and Guru and get started with our session today. So give me a sec. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so good morning, good evening to all of you. Radhe Radhe. Let's get started by taking the blessings of God and Guru. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. All right. So Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening once again. Sam has raised the hand to recite something which we have also not recited. So let's get started. All right, so we recited. You're welcome to follow along. Indriyasendriyasarthe ragadvesho vyavasthito tyona vashamagachat tauhyasya paripanthino. All right.
Yes, Samji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Indriyasyendrayasyadhe ragadvesha vyavastitau tayona vashamagaccha tauhyasya paripantinau. Radhe Radhe.
Very nice. Thank you, Sam. Radhe Radhe.
Shri Ramya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Indriyasyendriyasyarthe ragadvesha vyayastitau tayornavasham akachet tauhyasya paripantitau. Thank you.
Very nice. Shri Ramya, thank you.
Sandhya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go
Radhe
ahead.
Radhe, Sandhya.
Radhe Radhe. Happy Mahavir Hanumanji Jayanti.
Happy Hanuman Jayanti to all of you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Indriyasyendriyasyarthe ragadvesho vyavastitau tayornavashamagachet tauhyasya paripantinau.
Very nice. Thank you, Sandhya. All right, let's pick maybe another.
Surya Prakash
Yes,
ji, yeah, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Nityaji.
Turn on your videos. That increases your odds of getting picked up for the recitation. So thank you, SSPG.
Indriyasyendriyasyarthe ragadveshau vyavastitau tayornavashamagachet tauhasya paripantitau.
Very nice. Thank you.
Shyam ji, Radhe Radhe, please go
Radhe
ahead.
Shyamji.
Radhe Radhe. Indriyasyendriyasyartho ragadvesho vyavasthitau tyordvashmagacche tauhyasya paripanthido. Radhe Radhe.
Well, very nice, Shyamji. Radhe Radhe.
Uday Kumar ji, Radhe Radhe,
Radhe
please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Indriyaste ragadvesho vyavastito tayorna वशं तयोर्न वशम् आगच्छेत् तौ ह्यस्य परिपन्थिनौ राधे
Nice,
राधे
Radhe Radhe. I see some Tattva Gyani today, Dasoham.
Dasoham ji.
That's an interesting name.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. Please
This
go ahead.
Dasoham ji.
Radhe Radhe Nitin ji, Radhe Radhe everyone.
That's a good one, Sumesh.
Yes. Indriyasendriyasarthe Ragadeso Vyavastito Tayorna Vasamangaccheto Ayasya Paripantino. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe
Thank
Radhe.
you.
Very nice, Sumesh. Radhe Radhe. Okay, last two hands, real quick.
Riya ji, Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. इन्द्रियस्येन्द्रियस्यार्थे रागद्वेषौ व्यवस्थितौ तयोर्नवशम् आगच्छतौ ह्यस्य परिपन्थिनौ.
Very
Radhe
nice.
Radhe.
Thank you, Riya ji. Last but not the least.
Ekasya. Radhe Radhe.
Riya ji, please go ahead.
Happy Hanuman Jayanti.
Okay.
Indriyasharthe ragadvesho vyavastito tayornavasama agachet tohi asya paripantino.
Very nice. Thank you, Rita ji. So, happy Hanuman Jayanti to all of you. So, Hanuman ji, as you know, he's a Chiranjeevi, like Vedvyas ji. He's also alive. In fact, he's Chiranjeevi anyways, but he's going to continue to live as long as, or basically his dissension will continue for as long as Kali Yuga exists. And it is said that wherever the Ram Katha takes place, Hanumanji comes as well. And it is firmly believed, and that's why there is an asan set for Hanumanji wherever the Ram Katha takes place. So I'll tell you a quick story about how Hanumanji broke the pride of, Bhim and few others as well. So Bhim used to take a lot of pride in his strength. So Hanumanji, once he was, walking through the way, he just sat with his tail crossing the entire road. So Bhim said, "Can you give me way?" He said, "You can take my tail away and put it aside." And he said, "Don't you know who I am?" He said, "That whoever you are, I've told you a simple solution. Why don't you pick it up and move it aside?" And then Bhim starts doing it and he's not able to lift it. So to break his pride, Hanumanji did that. By the way, then Garudji came to him as well. Krishna in Dwarka, he said that, with I think Satyabhama, she had a pride that I look very beautiful. So Krishna said, "Okay, let me put that in perspective for her, because he doesn't like when his devotees get a pride." So he sends Garud to Hanumanji. Garud also had a pride, by the way, that he can fly very fast. So he sends Garud that go get Hanumanji. Say, Krishna wants, basically his Isht Ram Bhagwan wants to meet him. So Garud goes to Hanumanji and says, he first says the Dwarkadhish wants to meet him. So he said, "I don't know any Dwarkadhish." So Garud goes back and says, "He's not." He said, "You should have said his Isht Ram Bhagwanji is calling him, then he would listen to you." Then again Garud goes there and he said, "Ram Bhagwanji is calling." He said, "Really? Then I will come." He said, "Where is he?" He said, "He's there in Dwarka." He said, "Okay, I'll come." Garud said, "No, let me take you. It will take you a lot of time. You are anyway very old." Hanumanji used to look old. Hanumanji, he said, "I said I will come. You go." Garud said, "Let me take you. I go very fast." Hanumanji gives him a box, okay, and he goes and falls into an ocean. And then, before Garud could reach, Hanumanji had already reached there. And then at the door, there was Sudarshan Chakra. He also had a pride. And then Sudarshan Chakra stops him. Hanumanji takes him and puts him in the mouth. Okay, and then he goes, and there the Krishna Bhagwan, he had taken on a Ram form, because he just has to take off the peacock feather, put on a crown, and he looks like Ram, right? So he pays his obeisance to him. So Krishna says, "What's going on with your cheek? It looks a little swollen." And he opens up and Sudarshan Chakra just runs away. And then Chandravali, who's standing next, Satyabhama rather, who's standing next to him, who used to think I look very pretty, he said, by the way, who's this maid servant that you have kept along with your side? So then basically he broke everybody's pride. Okay, so that's a story I thought I'll narrate you on the occasion of Hanuman Jayanti. But he's the parikashtha or the epitome of dasya bhav that we have spoken about. Right? We have spoken about different bhavs, and he's the peak epitome of dasya bhav in devotion to God. Anyways, so now let's get started. By the way, Hanumanji also had a pride, but that is a dovetailed pride that was dovetailed. He said, he used to have a pride that I am the Das of Raghupati, Lord Ram. That is a good pride to have. So let's get started with our shloka for today, 3.34. In this shloka, Lord Krishna is saying, the senses naturally experience attachment and aversion to the sense objects, but do not be controlled by them, for they are waylayers and foes. So he's saying that this attachment and aversion, it happens, it is an experience that you get when you, come in contact with the sense objects. In fact, there's another shloka which talks about it in chapter 2. I think we've gone through that. 2.62, I believe, just before the Krodha shloka. Dhyayato Vishyan Punsa Sangaste Shupajayate. Sangat Sanjayate Kama Kamat Krodho Bhijayate. So when senses, they come in contact with the sense objects, that's when some kind of, you basically either you get a, desire, and then desire gets fulfilled, then you get greed, and if it doesn't, you get anger, right? And then he goes on to explain the anger part of it. Furthermore, he says that when senses come in contact with sense objects, it generates a fleeting feeling. Fleeting feeling means something that comes and goes. It's not something that will persist. So in this case, he's saying whenever our senses come in contact with something, you will feel either a strong attachment that, okay, I want this, I need more of it, or an aversion, I don't want it. You may detest it, or you say, I don't need, I need to avoid it. So this phenomena keeps on repeating with us whenever those senses come in contact with the sense objects. He goes on to say, do not get controlled by them, for they are waylayers and foes. They are enemies. He's very clearly saying enemies. Now, if they're enemies, why do we have senses, right? That is the first question that will come. So let's get deeper into this topic. So today we are going to talk about this perfect trap that we keep falling for every day, voluntarily too. And when we say every day, that means our entire life. And when we say entire life, that means across lifetimes too. Okay, this process, this phenomena continues. All right, so let's go deeper into the topic of our discussion today. We spoke about the gunas, right, in our previous verses a little bit, that mind and senses, they are propelled by their natural tendencies, which in turn are driven by the gunas. And these are the habits and tendencies that we spoke about in good detail in previous shlokas. So our habits and tendencies are driving us. Now let's move on. So this is us back. This is our senses. Now he's opening up the possibility of harnessing them. Right? Our senses, they are controlled. Our natural inclinations are controlled by, we saw our sanskars, part of it through our prarabdha, and our free will also, right? It dictates. Now he's opening up the other possibility. He said, can you harness it? When we say harness, we harness horses, and we have looked at that example of chariot and horses. So now he's bringing up the concept of harnessing or controlling them. As long as we have this material body, for its maintenance, we have to utilize the objects of the senses. If you have absolutely no attraction towards food, then why would you eat it? And if you won't eat it, how would you sustain this material body? It requires vitamins and all this good stuff that we need for the sustenance of the body, right? So basically all the senses are given to us so that we can do things for the maintenance of our body. We tend to take it a little too far though. Now Krishna is not asking us to stop from doing what is basically, or consuming what is necessary for us. He's not at all saying that, but he's saying you eradicate attachment and aversion around it, that I don't need this, or I need it, kind of a thing. Rag, dvesh, attachment, aversion, that becomes the cause of other problems. It leads to something much more profound that can trouble us and torment us. Okay, now the sanskars, the past life tendencies, they have a deep rooted influence on all the living beings. But if we practice the method, there is a way we can break this default or de facto setting that we have. We can take control of the situation as opposed to being dictated by the situation. Otherwise, our senses, based on our sanskars, habits, and tendencies, will continue to run wild. Okay, I want to do this, I want to touch this, I want to taste this, I want to see this, I want to hear this. That phenomena or that story continues. Now let's move on. So these are our senses, right? Sense, this is what I want to smell, watch, touch, hear, taste. This is the whole story, right? Now they naturally get drawn towards the sense objects, and when they interact with them, it creates a sensation of pleasure and pain. We all know it through our experience, right? Like I said, Lord Krishna is a master psychologist. He's going to break it down to the fundamental levels for us to say where the problem is, or where you need to do the course correction. Now he's explaining that this is going to create a sensation of pain and pleasure for you. Okay, this world anyway has been created in dualities: day, night, hot, cold, sweet, sour, pleasure, pain, and all that stuff. Now the taste buds, they experience joy in contact with the delicious foods, and distress in contact with bitter foods. And mind repeatedly contemplates these sensations of pleasure and pain, which is associates with these objects, right? This is how the phenomena unfolds. Now, the thoughts of pleasure, whatever the kind of pleasure, wherever we feel in the sense objects, it creates attachment, while thoughts of pain create aversion. It's a very simple thing, right? We know something we find pleasurable, something that we think is pleasurable or find pleasurable, then we form an attachment to it. And something that we don't find pleasurable, we develop detestment or aversion to it. Okay? This is how this process of senses getting associated with sense objects unfolds. Okay. Now let's talk about these senses for a little bit. Okay. Let me put these into motion. Now, if you look at the deer, they are attached to the sweet sounds. The hunter attracts them by starting melodious music and then kills them. Which sense brings about its downfall? The sense of hearing. Attachment to the sense of hearing. What caused the downfall? Is it the downfall was caused or brought about by the sound? No, sound is sound. But the attachment or the hankering to hear that sweet melody, it brought about its downfall. Okay, in case of a deer. Now, if we talk about bees, we know the story of, right, the bee it is busy devouring the nectar of a flower, and it continues to do that. And then the sun is about to set, and it thinks, let me have the last bit of it just before I leave. And then the flower starts closing its petals, and it thinks, I still have a little bit of time, let me take one more. And the flower closes. And when it closes, then it thinks, all right, it'll open up and then I'll go. And then an elephant comes and devours it. So the bee thinks, now I'm going for a nice travel or a tourism, but finally it ends up in the elephant's stomach. Same thing happens with our life. We think, let's extract that last juice we can from our life. Right? Have you seen, like I talk about it, right? Even people, when they have lived their life and, seen the next generation or maybe another one, still, if you ask them, when we depart from this world and you ask them, what is it that you would have wished to see, they would say, only if I had seen my great grandson's or great granddaughter's marriage, it would have been very satisfying. Same thing people would say, only, they departed, he was already 90, but only if he had stayed back for that marriage, it would have been so nice. The point is, Our scriptures are telling us you will never be satisfied. That craving for some extra juice that you need in life, that you want to experience, will continue. And bees are the classic example of it. In this particular case, it is the taste bud that brings about its downfall. Next example we have is for this. Okay, let's look at this. Let me bring out the weakness of elephants, the sense of touch. Basically, the hunter uses this trap for the male elephant by using the female elephant as a bait to draw it into the pit. So sense of touch, that elephant's weaknesses, brings about its downfall. Okay. And then fish, if we look at it, they are trapped by the desire for eating and then swallow the bait of the fisherman. And then you see the moth, they are drawn to light. They come too close to the fire and get burnt, and they don't mind giving up their life, but their sense of sight is so strong that it impels them to touch that light, even if it means giving up their life to satisfy or satiate that sense of sight that they have. Now, if you think about it, we have covered all the 5 senses that we all humans have, right? One sense is good enough to bring about a downfall, one. And we are given 5 of them, 5 times more. Plus, they are scripted to an extent, right? The animals are scripted. So if you give food to fish, okay, fish can probably eat itself to death, but if you give food to other species, like even a calf, it does not eat after sunset. They don't eat. Most of the animals, they follow that circadian clock as it goes, but we humans don't do that. Okay, we can eat anytime and whenever we feel hungry, or we can create hunger for ourselves as well, right? So the point here is that first of all, we have 5 senses where one is good enough to bring about our downfall. On top of it, God has given us discrimination, which is a double-edged sword. Right? Because of that, we force feed ourselves and so many other things that we do as part of indulgence. So our situation, if you look at it, is very precarious, right? It's like which one sense is good enough and we are endowed with 5 of them. Okay, so just imagine how treacherous that situation could be. Now let's move on. So this, we have spoken about the Rag and Dvesh. They are 2 sides of the same coin. Aversion is nothing but negative attachment. Okay, people who fall for other people, strongly get attached, they go the other extreme as well. Now they strongly hate the same person. Why did it happen? Okay, both emotions are temporary creation of our mind, because you gain potential energy to go to one extreme. Again, going back to the pendulum principle that I've brought in multiple times. First, you form an attachment, and when you formed an attachment, you have already dug a pit for yourself to go to the other extreme. So when you are falling for somebody or falling for an object or building some kind of an expectation around it, be mindful that you are digging a pit for yourself to go to the other extreme. It's a very simple principle. If I were to take this argument a little further, okay, Maharaji says in material world, anything that you contemplate happiness on deeply will be the cause of your disappointment invariably, eventually. Okay, it's a very strong principle. It is a Cartesian, something nobody can refute. And our experience itself would have told us and will continue to tell us. Okay? Whenever we contemplate happiness on something material, it will become a cause of misery for us in the long run. It's a very simple principle. So now when we form attachment, it's basically you have already signed up for aversion also. Right? There was a saying in Hindi, I think, maine hanskar, what was that? What is the Hindi word for the other word? I forgot that, right? Usko dawat de di, udasi ko, or something like that, right? So basically, when you smile, you have already given an invite to the other side of it, a frown, basically. That is how it works. Doesn't mean you stop smiling or being happy, but when we start forming these neural associations with that particular object, right? This thing is going to give me happiness, this is going to give me happiness, repeat, repeat, repeat. Channels are formed, attachment is formed, and the damage is done. Sam, you had a question? Real quick.
Well, Samji.
Yeah. Once one extreme is attachment, it will invariably cause aversion in future. But in few cases we see, especially old generations, they get attached. The old grandmother, grandpapa, they get attached till they die. Even after they die, they are attached with the people. How will they experience aversion?
So point is, you have gained the potential for that. Okay. When that subject is not favorable to you, you will feel the other extreme to the same extent as you felt attached with them, right? That disappointment will cause that. Fine, if the subjects were favorable to them, that is a good thing, but you have already created the grounds for building that aversion as well. So when you have built that sanskar, you have already created the other sanskar as well. It works like that, like a pendulum only. If your subjects are favorable, good, but then you have already created a case for going to the other extreme because you have gained energy on one side. So Krishna is saying that be at the equilibrium. Both are fleeting, both are temporary, not really helpful for you. Okay, we'll come back to that. Yes, Monica ji.
Please go ahead, Monica ji.
Radha, everyone. So Nitin ji, is this why in Sanatan culture initially, obviously we don't follow that now, but then when we reach old age, we actually leave home and then go to some saint or some ashram, and then especially in Kashi, and then we leave our body there? Was that the reason?
Yeah, so basically Varnashram Dharam is given to
Varnashram, yes.
humans, Varnashram Dharam, right?
Mhm,
It is given so that you lead a life under some regulative principles. When you are brahmachari, there are certain things you have to do. Then you become grihast, you do that. And so Varnashram is now when you have discharged your bodily responsibility, it is time to go for the higher pursuit and, understand what your life is all about, and then spend that part of your life connecting with the divine, not unnecessarily getting attached to the world at that time as well. However, that doesn't work that way, but that was the whole idea. So these principles or these Varnashram Dharam were created so that we can lead a regulative life and discipline ourselves. But it still comes in aparadharma. Aparadharma means dharma at the level of body only. When you talk about paradharma, then it is at the level of soul. Then Varnashram Dharam can take a back seat. If you're already engaged in bhakti and devotion to God, then Varnashram Dharam is probably secondary to you. These dharmas are more for the people who are in the worldly consciousness, who think they have to lead a life in world and take care of their family in that consciousness. He said, okay, you do that, but then after a while, take a back seat, because that's not the only thing you have to do in life. So yes, a lot of people take sannyas even now. Even today they do that, but not everybody does that, right? Their association.
Because I always because I always thought that, when your grandchildren, everybody are like right in front of you, detachment is questionable. Maybe if some people are not able to achieve that.
Humans is the only species that continues to attach across generations. If you look at any other species, they let them go. Sparrows, they don't look after their kid. All the animals, they let them go after a while. But humans, they have a tendency to even become a helicopter parent, and then their associations continues. So that happens. That is an unfortunate part. So.
Right. So is it okay to take help of this Varnashram when you're on the spiritual path, Nitinji? Is this acceptable? I mean, let's say if someone is finding difficult to detach themselves.
It has to happen not because you think that the world is troublesome, that there's a lot of misery in the world. Then you will become irresponsible and you will use it as an excuse to run away from your duties, which is called Fadhu Vairagya. We have spoken about it in some other sessions. We'll bring that again. But when you are situated in an understanding that there is neither happiness nor misery in this world, now I've done my duties, now it's about time to take a retreat, and take that journey inwards, then it is the right mindset to do that. But if you think, oh my God, too much of problem in this world and let me do work, that's not the right way to.
Right. So the latter one. I mean, when you understand, when you're prepared, and then, okay. Thank you.
Radhe Radhe. Yes, Champaji, you wanted to add something? Now I'm going to talk about attachment and aversion a little bit more. Yes, Champaji, let's hear from you. And
Please
then
go ahead, Champaji. Radhe Radhe.
Do we have time?
Sure, we can take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, Varnashram Dharma is created in the Sanatan Dharma to help us grow spiritually. Actually, it is a must. All the seniors like me should follow it. Otherwise, we get into unnecessary attachment and entanglement, and the people whom we love and they love us, it becomes a burden on either side. In some of the families, it becomes so much of tension because we have lived our lives and we think what is right and try to impose on the younger generation, and all sorts of unwanted complications will come. It's actually Bihar School of Yoga, they have a course for the elderly, 6 months course on Varnashram Dharma. I think all the people who have finished their duties with children should practice Varnashram Dharma instead of getting entangled with the grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and leave the children peacefully to their priorities and ideas. Thank you.
Thank you, Champaji. Yes. And that is the reason why it has been created, so that we can start developing the required detachment for our own paramarth, or for our own benefit in long run. So what happens in attachment is the object of attachment, it keeps on repeating in our mind, right? Whoever you are attached to, everywhere you will sniff them out, right? Wherever it is, you will find them out, because that is what you are seeking. So it will keep on repeating in your head. And in aversion also the same thing happens. Now your object of hatred will keep repeating in your head. Like Kansa used to repeat in Krishna used to repeat in Kansa's head, and Ram in Ravan's head, from resentment. But the problem, see, with they were anyway elevated souls who were part of God's Leela. It's not a good recommendation for people to think about God with a sense of resentment. Okay, although the result will be purifying only, but it is not a recommended practice for mortals like us. However, for humans, when we develop positive attachment, that is fine. We ride that wave. But when we have a negative attachment, it is more difficult to overcome than positive attachment. Only spiritual maturity can help you come out of it. And if you are not spiritually mature, you will struggle for the rest of your life, and you will continue to do damage to yourself, people. You will basically become a burden for everybody. Okay, this is how it goes. So because it takes spiritual maturity to forgive and move on in life. And if we are adult babies, like we spoke about yesterday, it's something that can never happen, because you need, see, first of all, to forgive requires a lot of maturity. And when we talk about spiritual maturity, you know how much level you need, how much resilience you need around that. So when we form attachment to something, if we don't have the benefit of hindsight for that, but think about it. If this were not to work out, am digging myself such a deep well or a pit that I myself cannot climb over? Okay, if we can think about that, then we'll be careful about it, because negative attachment is very, very difficult to overcome. Positive attachment you can still overcome, you can reason, but negative is very difficult to do that. So that is the most dangerous emotion that one can fall into in this material world. And Lord Krishna is already warning, okay, stay away from both extremes. Say equanimous, because both are fleeting, both are temporary, and it is a concoction of your mind only, nothing more than that. Okay, now let's move on. So equanimity is the key. All right, so you say, no, I will indulge. What's the problem? Indulgence is fun. So let's look at some of the flip side of indulgence. Okay, what happens when we indulge? So indulgence is what? Hankering. This is what I want more of, or lamentation. So basically, it will. When you indulge in something, it will lead to two results. Either you will hanker for something. I need more of it. Nobody gets satisfied. Right? We spoke about this concept that trying to fulfill your desires and hoping that you will be satisfied is like putting fuel to fire. Nobody can do that. So it will result in more hankering. And if your desire is not fulfilled, then what will happen? You will have lamentation. So this cycle will continue. And over time, this hankering and lamenting will increase. The intervening pleasure will decrease. And eventually, pleasure becomes just a short-lived relief from the self-inflicted torment of constant hankering and lamenting. So it's not that pleasure will sustain. That is also start diminishing over time. So there's a problem all around, basically falling into this trap of attachment and aversion. In either case, it is going to take you, you are going to inflict kind of a torment for your own mind in long run, in both the cases. And because indulgence is usually physical and visible, you are enjoying, because somebody is having this, that, it is visible to you. So it seems like, it is good, people are happy. But hankering and lamenting, they are at a psychological level that is happening. See, when you develop greed for something, you hanker for something, you have created a trouble for your mind at that point. And same thing happens in lamentation as well. So it's like this, you are at this state. When you have developed a hankering or lamentation, you have already come down, stepped down, because unless you get that or remove that, you will not come back to the neutral state. So we think we have become like this, but actually you have come like this. And now to come back to the baseline again, neutral position, you have to struggle. And it requires intelligence to even understand that, because otherwise we think indulgence is good now. It is actually harmful for us. It's like somebody thinking of, in college used to happen, right? People are studying or they say, okay, I need a smoke now. 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, all of a sudden an urge will come, and then they'll go around the hostel, knock every door. Okay, you've got a smoke. And people, no, I don't have it. I don't have it. So that itch has started developing now. I definitely need to have it. And the person who's not had it, he's calmly sleeping. He said, all right, I've done with my studies. I'm going to sleep. So both are at this stage. Other person remained at this stage and slept. But this guy has developed an itch for a smoke. So now he has come down at this level. And then he starts roaming around and nothing finds. And he goes to the station, drives a bike with another friend, goes there, has a couple of smoke and said, now I'm happy. So what, did he really become this? No, he had, from here, he had come here and now he's back here. So you created that hankering, and because of which you created a temporary itch for yourself. And when you remove that itch, you thought I'm happy. So this is what happens with our hankering. When we create a desire, we have actually created an agitated state of mind for ourselves only. And when we come to the neutral state, we think, now we are happy. Nothing of that sort. And same thing happens with lamentation as well. You become sad. Something did not get fulfilled. Again, you are down from your neutral position. And when that misery is removed, again, you're back to the neutral state. So Lord Krishna is saying, why to bother, disturbing your neutral state? Understand this is just a temporary thing you're creating for yourself. Stay where you are. Have that equanimity. And when you tolerate that, like I said, God is not conjuice makhi choose. When you align to his principle, what you will get in return is much bigger, better, sweeter than what you would have gotten otherwise through that enjoyment of the sensual pleasure that you thought would have given you happiness. This is how the principle works. But we need to learn to tolerate that. We cannot tolerate it. It's like that marshmallow experiment I was talking about. The moment marshmallow comes, we pop it in. We don't have the patience or tolerance or belief that, okay, only if I stay back, tolerate this, I'm going to get double of it. Same thing. This experiment, I think marshmallow experiment I spoke about, same thing will happen. So maybe if I have not, then I'll talk about it so that, you're not thinking I'll talk about it. So in this shloka 18.38 also, Lord Krishna is saying mode of passion when it is derived from the contact of senses with their objects. Such happiness is like nectar at first, but poison at the end. Shreyas and prayas, there are two kinds of happiness our scriptures talk about. Something which is immediately gratifying is poison in long run, which is called prayas. And something which is bitter to begin with, but sweet in long run is called shreyas. Like aamle ka swad and badon ki baatein, they say, right? After a while only you understand. So same thing, when you exert and you sail over that temporary agitation of your mind, what you get in long run goes it's a very, very sweet taste that you would get in long run. By the way, the marshmallow experiment, let me tell you if I have not, you can Google it up. There was an experiment carried out, I think, in Stanford University, where a set of kids, they were given marshmallows. And they were told, I think 5 to 8-year-old probably, or 5 to 7, they were given marshmallows and they were told that if you wait for 10 minutes, then we will double your marshmallows. So some of the kids, they popped it in immediately. Some waited for maybe 7 minutes. They said, okay, enough of waiting. Let me just taste it. They could not resist that temptation. Some waited for 10 minutes and they got double of it. Then the experiment continued. They said, okay, wait for 20 minutes, you'll double it again. So some kids said, okay, enough of it. They popped it in. Some waited for 12 minutes, 15 minutes. Some waited for 20 and they got double. And I think that experiment continued for about an hour or so. Anyways, some kids survived. They kept on doubling it. As the luck would have it, the daughter of that person who had conducted this marshmallow experiment, when she grew up, she came to know about it, that my dad had conducted this experiment. So she's thought that let me continue with that. And she went on to find out the whereabouts and what the kids are doing who were given that particular experiment. So she traced what is going on with their lives. So the kids who popped it in, who succumbed to the immediate temptation, they found most of those people were broke, failed marriages, drugs, and all that stuff. And kids, some of them were doing okay, and the ones who had the most tolerance or most self-control to keep on doubling it, thinking long term, were the ones who were most successful in life. They were doing really good in their lives. Some were CEOs, some were doing really well in their life. So you can actually correlate the sense. People who go for sensory gratification and make it a goal of their life, they struggle. They struggle in their life. It's like moving from misery to misery to misery. And people who understand the bigger principles around it, they tolerate stuff and align to the higher principle, what Lord Krishna is talking about, long-term benefits, not about short-term gains. They become successful in life, and their life is also a success. And their life story timeline is like going from success to success and from fulfillment to fulfillment, as opposed to from misery to misery, one miserable experience to another, to another, to another. Doesn't work like that. Just that small tweak around how we should treat our the attraction that we feel toward sensual objects. If we start looking at it in perspective, that tweak itself will start making a lot of difference. And that is a big principle, very important principle that Lord Krishna is talking about. So in form of a perfect trap, if you look at it, one sense you can control, but the other one you cannot. So one sense is good enough for us to derail our journey. So in a way, it is a perfect trap if you don't think about it, because you won't even know, and your senses have already found its sense object that has been, it finds interesting, or that it finds pleasure in. And before you realize it, you are already consumed, your time has already been consumed by it. So that is how the process goes. So for us to break this trap, we got to bring in mindful consciousness around what is happening. Where am I time going? What are the things that I might get attached or attracted to, which might be problematic for me in long run? Now, with indulgence, any questions so far? Indulgence, I'll tell you some other flip sides of indulgence. What happens when you keep on indulging? You may say, no, it's fun to indulge. I'll tell you some of the flip side of it. If you indulge, first of all, you will continue to believe or continue to carry this conviction that material world will give us happiness. That's why you will indulge. So you are deeper into the material world. Okay, that's the first problem. The second one is you are further away from spiritual life, peace, and happiness. You may think by acquiring this object, my life will become peaceful, happy, but you are actually getting further away from that peace and happiness that we're talking about. The third one is knowledge of even most discerning gets covered by this perpetual enemy in form of insatiable desire, which is never satisfied. That means you are again putting fuel to fire. So this is the third problem that will happen, that your desire will keep on becoming stronger and stronger and stronger. Of course, in the process, you are suffering karmic reactions. That will happen as well. You have to suffer karmic reactions because every endeavor or quest is around bhog, my enjoyment. So whenever you go with my enjoyment, what is in it for me? Karmic reaction, the baggage you have to deal with. And then the result is, of course, the lower form of life and hellish planets and stuff like that, based on how many sins we might have incurred during the course of it. And that desire that we are forming is an eternal enemy and self-destructive. Indulgence infects our psyche with indelible impressions that haunt us far beyond our present lifespans. That means those sanskars we'll have to deal with. If you think why my mind generates negative thoughts or this, we only created it for us. We can overcome that. So the good news is those can be overcome. The problem is why to even, the best thing to avoid something is to not build that to begin with, right? So why to even build our harmful sanskars, which will be, harmful for us in long run. And is there anything else? No. So these are some of the flip sides or the pitfalls of indulgence if we continue to indulge in sensory satisfactions or hankerings only. All right, any questions so far? I know a lot of stuff today. So in discharge of our worldly duty, yes, Sandhya, go ahead. We have to come across these. I'll just complete that and then we'll take that question. See, we have to come across likable and unlikable situations because we are in the world, right? Let's be realistic and practical about it. Now, what we need to practice is neither to yearn for the likable situations, nor to avoid the unlikable situations. Okay. We need to become neutral, try to become neutral towards that. And when we stop being slaves of both the likes and dislikes of the mind and senses, we'll overcome our lower nature. And when we become indifferent to both pleasure and pain in discharge of our duty, we'll become truly free to act from our higher nature. And that is the whole game, basically. So every situation in our life, it will give us an opportunity either to have a lower nature, cater to our lower nature, or go with the higher nature. And lower nature is mundane pursuits, anger, envy, greed, pessimism, skepticism, hatred. Higher pursuits are positivity, hope, empathy, compassion, faith, love, all these things. So there are a lot of situations. Life will continue to present at every moment where we have a choice either to come down and do more of it, or stay where we are, or go up in our spiritual trajectory. Okay, now we can take questions and open it up for discussion as well.
Radhe Radhe Sandhya ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. So my question was regarding that statement that overcoming negative attachment is much more difficult than overcoming positive attachment. So I was just thinking about it based upon the pendulum thing. Are we saying it's asymmetric in that sense? I mean, I just thought that it should.
In that sense, yes, it would be asymmetric. It's not exactly the same. So if you think about the negative, that amplitude is even further, because now you need another skill for giving somebody, letting go of that sentiment. So it is a little more difficult to. So it is asymmetric. I mean, that's just a principle I told. But it's not directly proportional that, however much you have gone here, you will go the same there. Or even if you go there, I would say coming back to the neutral is much more difficult from this extreme as opposed to the other extreme. Either way, you can look at it.
And there's a comment, if I could quickly read it.
Sure.
Urvi says, I just love when Nitin sir says the good news is. So it points out the fact that no matter whatever is the situation, we can always think what's the good news and move forward positively.
Yeah, the good news is we have the benefit of reading Bhagavad Gita and what Lord Krishna is telling us, and in a manner which is palatable, which is understandable for us, made by Swamiji and Maharajji. So that is the good news. And not so good news is that there's work to be done. Okay, we still have to put it to practice. So, but I would say not so good news. It's still a good news because we have everything to gain. Like Swamiji says, this is the most fulfilling and interesting project you would ever undertake. And what is the project? Improving ourselves. It is very fulfilling. Everything to gain at every moment, if you think about it. Right? Most exciting project you will ever undertake. Yes, couple of other questions too.
A couple of other hands. Yeah. Preeti ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. I have a tendency to eat a lot more than I normally do, and I don't exercise, and I try to fight my lower nature and go on like being healthy, and then again I go back to that old cycle that's subconsciously programmed, or you can call it, since childhood. So how can I get out of that cycle? I know my higher nature knows what to eat and how to eat right, and exercise is best, but then my lower nature said, who cares, don't do it, so I've been fighting with myself on those kind of things constantly, and
Yeah.
going for my lower nature, and I've been fighting with that for years, and I need some
All of us,
help.
yeah. True, I get that. Yeah, I think all of us struggle with that, Preeti ji. To your point, we all have our different secret stash that we struggle with. For you, it might be eating, like you said. And all of these can be traced back to, something that happened in our past or maybe in our previous lifetimes. Like Dr. Edelweiss, there's a guy who conducts life regressions to cure these patients. So if one of your lifetimes we have been starved or subject to famine or those kind of things, then people have that tendency to eat, and they cannot tolerate even a little bit of hunger as well. But anyways, not getting into that, the point here is that our willpower is like the prefrontal cortex, right? That is the muscle in our brain, basically, which is like a muscle, but it wears out. It's like our physical muscle. It's strongest at the beginning of the day, and it wears out by the end of the day. You can expend it only so much, but the why power is much more stronger. Once you are convinced about something, and you have sufficiently thought about it and convinced, then you will not do it. So let me say, for example, next time you do that, you indulge in it, somebody tells you, about $5,000 will be deducted from your account. Once, twice, thrice, then you will automatically desist from it. So something which we can see tangibly is doing us harm can do wonders for us, but we are not intellectually convinced that it's okay to do that. See, if people who drink, if liver cirrhosis would happen immediately, or people who eat sweets, diabetes would happen immediately, nobody would do that. It happens over a period of time, slowly, and that's why people take their chances. But that's where I think to convince ourselves, it requires a deeper contemplation. I think that's probably the way to go. I've seen people who resort to very even I look at Swamiji, food. He's reduced his food over time, and people go to with fruit and that just to prolong their longevity so that they can serve more. That is how intellectually convinced they are. So they will not look at sweets and other tempting things that normally people fall for. So it's just about contemplation, I believe, where are intellectually convinced this is important and this is what I stand to lose if I don't do it. And then that should hopefully help.
So how to increase the why power?
Knowledge.
Like knowledge,
contemplation, sufficient contemplation on that.
contemplation. Okay.
Like cow ruminates grass, it keeps on taking it through all the 6 stomachs. Similarly, to ruminate over knowledge until it becomes part of our DNA, that this is it. Intellect is convinced this is it, that's it. And then it will automatically kick in. You don't need to expand, basically exert your willpower at that point.
Thank you.
No worries. Shreya ji, thank you for turning on your video. I think you're doing it for the first time, so good to see you. If you could introduce yourself and what is the question you have?
Radhe Radhe, Shreya ji, please go ahead. Let me unmute. Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you. Radhe Radhe Nitin ji. I've been attending your sessions on and off.
Okay.
I think the time changed and I realized that it's at 7:30 from India. So firstly, your sessions are amazing. It really makes you think a lot. In terms of today's session, I have a question on attachment. I'm not sure if you've covered it, but what does attachment really mean when we think about our family? Does it mean that we just do our duty without, I mean, at the end of the day, we do need our family, right? They're our support system, they're everything, source of strength, source of pain. So how do we kind of look at attachment from that perspective?
Yeah, so attachment, basically, it's very normal, right? Swabhavik, like they say in Hindi, that we feel attached towards people who are close to us, right? Parents, kids, relatives, cousins, and all that stuff. But then when you have attachment, it becomes your weakness, right? It brings in fear, it brings in anxiety. It can basically, it does not help you expand your wings as well, I would say, at times. So we just have to look at it in perspective. God says, you know, do not have a sense of proprietorship, that this is mine. They have been given to you. So have a sense of gratitude. Okay, they are roles endowed to me in this particular lifetime, which will change. Okay, they are not my true relative as such. Okay, I'm fortunate I have them, loving ones, but that doesn't mean that they are the ones who are going to give me happiness or they are going to be there with me forever. Right? And when we operate with a sense of attachment that they are mine, then it's kind of an emotion that is binding to, because you are having that sense of they belong to me kind of a deal, right? And then when you have that, like the example that is given in that, you know, a nurse can treat a baby better than a mother if the stomach is hurting for that baby, because mother, because of her attachment, will give the baby milk or whatever it is asking for, because she cannot bear it. But nurse would do the right thing. She knows that it is needed for it, right? So attachment is actually not enabler. It is actually crippling you in that sense. And second problem that happens with attachment is that, first of all, it is something that you have contemplated so deeply about that relationship, then it becomes binding. And when it becomes binding, you are making a case for yourself to repeat again in this world. And then in that life, again, you will get set of people. They are different. Again, that symptom of attachment is still there. Your mind will still crave for that happiness there, and you'll start building those strong bonds there. So that cycle will keep on repeating. You'll keep repeating. So you'll have pain, you'll have pleasure, anxieties, fear. You'll continue to deal with these things forever. Instead, if you think, you know, not have a sense of proprietorship, but gratitude. Okay, this is something, end of the day, we are all God's kids. Okay, in this life, it has been given to me as an opportunity to serve this kid, to serve them as my parents, to serve them as my relatives. But end of the day, they don't belong to me. My true relative is God only. And anything and anybody can be snatched away from me in a moment. When you have that truth at the back of your mind, that is liberating. That is taking you closer to your spiritual goal. Other things are going to take you further into this material world, and making a business case for yourself to keep on repeating in this world. One attachment is good enough for us to repeat in this world. It could be to a pet also, by the way, not even human. That will also make you repeat in this world. So Krishna is saying, take your time, but convince yourself intellectually, and then I am all yours. So that is why attachment is not good. We have to look at it in perspective. Of course, you will feel the pain, but over time, we have to start looking at it in perspective, so that we do not keep on feeling vulnerable, weak, anxious, fearful, and not being able to develop love, faith towards God. Because your mind is just one. Either you can think about worldly or worldly associates, or about God. You cannot have both hand in hand. So I hope I helped you a little bit. Yeah, so attachment is something that we have to start looking at it in perspective for our own sake.
Yeah, I think you explained it beautifully. Thank you.
See, again, you can remind yourself as a train journey, right? We form a lot of bonds in a train. You know, come to my house, have this. Why don't you take this sweet when you visit Bareilly next time? Do come to my home. So we form all those associations. But then whenever the station comes and people who are with their own set of tickets, they depart. And life is like that only. Everybody has their own ticket. They will depart at their own station. Nobody can accompany them, nor are they going to stay back just because you are saying you are now my friend. Can you stay back? So there is no true relative as such. Scriptures are telling us. So let's stop this ghar ghar thing in our mind. At least continue to perform our duties to the best of our abilities without forming that deep rooted, sense of belongingness that we start building lifetime after lifetime. Because nobody is permanent here, and nobody is permanent relative of us, and nobody is going to accompany us in our afterlife. People will keep changing.
Nitinji, can I please take a moment to make some announcements?
Sure.
Yeah. Everyone, I have posted the link for the tracker in the chat. Please put in your comments and questions, and any questions that you have in the feedback tracker. And the good news is about Swamiji's event, the satsang in Delhi and nearby area. So on April 6th, it will be satsang in Gurugram, So please, it's not to be missed opportunity. People who are in Delhi or nearby Delhi, a great opportunity for them. And on 8th April, it's satsang in Vikaspuri. 9th April, it's satsang in IP Extension. 10th April, satsang in Ashok Vihar. And 12th April, satsang in Patel Nagar, Delhi. So everyone, please, whoever are near and nearby Delhi area, please do take advantage of this event. And definitely the other event is about the family camp. Family camp is going to going to be there for 7 days, spiritual retreat with Swamiji. Definitely not to be missed opportunity. And please do register. I am sharing the link to register in the chat window.
Thank you, Pallaviji. Great opportunity for people in around Delhi area to meet Swamiji in person. I always say that Swamiji, when you meet, it can take your spiritual journey to another level. Okay, just meet him with faith, belief, and see the wonder and the magic unfolding after that. And all of us are sitting here only because of him today. Okay, so you can only imagine. And if we can transform somebody like me to come and sit here and be able to talk about Bhagavad Gita on a day-to-day basis, you can only imagine, the impact that he can have when you meet him and continue to associate with him. That is the power of coming in contact with the true saint. So don't miss out on this opportunity. If you get it, please do meet him and help yourself around that. Okay. All right. Few more hands, let's take them. So tomorrow we will continue on this discussion and talk about the topic on how do we become the best version of ourselves. Okay, maybe a little bit about that. And is it okay to do what we are endowed with, or copying others and thinking about that? What is that mindset? Is that helpful for us or not? We'll talk about that topic. But let's take the remaining hands and continue our discussion. We'll move into the segment.
Please go ahead, Radhe Surendra ji.
नितिन जी, अटैचमेंट और डिजायर, इनका क्या आपस में रिलेशन है? और दूसरी बात जो आप कह रहे थे ना कि नितिन जी को क्या बना दिया स्वामी जी ने, उसमें मैं समझता हूँ बहुत सही बात है.
Even a little bit of association can help us basically put us on a track where at least we are able to talk and discuss things and do things which are beneficial for our journey. That's essentially what I said. Nothing. I'm still maybe at least on the right path. I'd like to believe, but I'm still there where I started off with. Okay, maybe a little.
प्रारब्ध का बड़ा रोल है आपके साथ. प्रारब्ध भी तो आपके साथ आई है ना.
कौन?
आपकी प्रारब्ध ने भी आपको ऐसा बनाया है.
पता नहीं, मेरे नहीं लगता है.
प्रारब्ध जो आपके
प्रारब्ध we don't.
पिछले जन्म में आप स्वामी जी रहे होंगे.
आपके मुंह में घी शक्कर अगर ऐसा होता, और आई होप ऐसा हो, बट ऐसा है नहीं, बिकॉज आई एम टेलिंग.
नजर आ रहा है सर. अब हमें सिर्फ अटैचमेंट डिजायर का क्या रिलेशन है वो बताएं.
हाँ, तो बेसिकली डिजायर जो होती है हमारी, डिजायर अटैचमेंट लीड्स टू डिजायर. आई थिंक ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम, व्हेन यू attach your mind to something, then you start desiring that object कि मुझे वो चाहिए, I just need that, because if I don't get it, then I'll be upset. I think attachment eventually leads to desire. I'll again
so
check
therefore
that.
Positive or negative doesn't mean anything then. Attachment positive, attachment negative.
The desire could be that I want to avoid this also, right? You could desire I don't want this. Desire could be positive or negative, either way.
And similarly attachment can be negative, positive.
And that is negative attachment is repulsion, right? When we hate somebody, what Kansa felt towards Krishna was negative attachment. So aversion, rag and dvesh are the two sides of the same coin. Negative attachment is aversion, hatred.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Because in both the cases, you will keep thinking about the same object, right? आप मन में उसी चीज के बारे में बार-बार चिंतन करेंगे. In one case, you are doing it with a sakaratmak soch, in other case, nakaratmak soch, right? In one way, you are thinking about it in a positive light, in other in a negative light, but you are thinking about the same object. So it is the two sides of the same coin only, attachment and aversion.
Thank you.
Thank you, Surendraji. Nitinji, I would quickly make announcement for the Hanuman Jayanti Mahotsav. Sorry, I missed about that. So
Is
that
it for
is
this
Hanuman
Hanuman
Jayanti.
Jayanti or the upcoming one?
It is Hanuman Jayanti Mahotsav. Janma Mahotsav
I'm
will be at
joking.
Radha Krishna Temple,
Okay.
and that is going to be on April 6th. That is Thursday, 6 to 8:30 p.m. and it will be live. It will be I believe online as well, available online as well. So please do participate virtually or in person as well. And one more quick information about the daily tracker. So that is what is Sandhya ji has posted the link, that if we are trying to inculcate any new habit, or we want to get rid of something, any old bad habit, then please do utilize daily tracker. But do mention over there that you're trying to work on something, and then what is your progress. You can daily track all the progress, that you're able to maintain it or not. So I posted the link for the daily tracker. It will be really helpful in tracking your progress for whatever you are trying to work for.
Thank you, Pallaviji. Yes, please do avail that daily tracker, especially if you want to really make a change in some of your habits or tendencies. When you make it public and make a commitment, things start improving.
Yes.
Okay, let's hear. I think Urvi's
Yes.
raised her hand as well. By the way,
Yeah.
today devotional segment, I'm going to sing Hanumanji's bhajan, okay? If nobody else is singing, but I hope somebody else is singing as well.
Urviji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. I just wanted to add two things. One related to what Preeti ji asked, and the second related to what Surinder ji asked. So actually, like Preeti ji said that she's not able to control the urge to indulge, right? So what I tried for myself, and it really worked out, is that whenever you have that in your mind, that okay, go on, this is fun and let's indulge, especially when it comes to food, then just give yourself 10 minutes and think, okay, after 10 minutes, I'll eat it. And then think for those 10 minutes that what all can happen, because we indulge only when the knowledge slips out. So we can give ourselves those 10 minutes to revise the knowledge, and then there's no way we'll go and indulge. So just wait for 10 minutes. That will work out. And like related to what Surendra ji asked, that what is the relationship between attachment and desire? So yeah, attachment leads to desire, and contemplation of happiness leads to attachment. But we can just say it like this. But if we really want to understand it deeper, then we can visit the 21 days mind management challenge series of Swamiji available on YouTube. So over there, it's all explained very well. That's it.
Beautiful, Urvi. Thank you
Yes.
for filling in all the gaps. Very, very nice. Attachment leads to desire. And why do we get attachment? Because we think this object will give me happiness. Your mind has tricked you already. Okay, because the material, this thing will give me happiness. That is where our mind starts playing tricks with us, and that leads to desire, and we know the cycle repeats. We can talk about so many examples in our lives that happen. We have read this concept, but it will keep on happening in front of our eyes, and we'll feel powerless unless we have really thought about this topic in great depth and then stopped it at the point itself. Otherwise, it will happen in front of our eyes and you can't do anything about it. That is how the cycle keeps on repeating. Yes, Deyashini, and okay, Sumesh ji as well. Two more.
Sumesh ji,
Yes, Sumesh.
Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Nitinji. Today my question is, when I meditate your image, my bodily dharma have done easily and good. But when I forget you, all our bodily dharma going wrong. How to every moment I meditate, you give me easy tool.
Sumesh ji, tell me you are joking, okay? Please. I would really
It
like
is
to hear it from you. See, you need to meditate upon God and Guru, who's God realized. So not humans, and not definitely, people who are idiots like me, work in progress people, I would say. So Guru and God, that should be our object of meditation. Otherwise, it's very risky. See, for all the progress that you are making, if you meditate on wrong thing, then it will negate your journey. So I'll strongly advise you, recommend you to bring God's image or Guru's image. That will really help your journey. Okay, because see, just because I'm able to speak about Bhagavad Gita because of God and Guru's grace does not mean that people like me are elevated. You need to go to somebody who's a saint, who has actually realized God. Right? People who are work in progress, that is not a good strategy, because you never know what they may become. Right? I was telling the other day, people like me could become a polar bear, or who knows what in the next birth. What if I start thinking about soccer or tennis when I'm dying, and I repeat in the material world and become some ordinary footballer? Anything can happen. It's a very risky proposition. So you need to think about somebody who you know for sure is going to take your journey to the next level, right? That has to be God or Guru. And that, in that sense, you have Maharajji, you have Swamiji, and then you have Krishna himself, right? So you could keep switching between them. That will take your journey to the next level and bring in more clarity. Okay. So just because I wanted to reiterate that, because I'm able to speak here Bhagavad Gita does not mean that people think that okay, I'm elevated or nothing. I'm just like one of you only. Okay, 1 hour, and this God and Guru's grace, I can speak a little bit here and there, which is fine. I feel good about it, but that doesn't give you a reason to believe that I'm somebody like that. Definitely not, and I'm making it very clear. So Someshi, please don't jeopardize your journey because you are working hard on it, and you don't want to put it in danger by becoming a polar bear next birth. Okay.
No, Nitinji, it is my faith. It
It
is
is what?
realization. It is my faith, inner realization, sir.
Okay, let's talk offline, Someshi. I think we really need to talk now. Okay, Dayashini ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Dayashini
I'll call
ji.
you, Someshi. I think we really need to talk now. Yes, Dayashini ji.
Radhe Radhe Nitin Bhaiya.
Yeah.
Yes, just one thing before telling what I like, before sharing what I want to share. Do you love Alaska?
Alaska? Why
You
Alaska?
talk about polar bears.
Maybe North Pole more than Alaska.
Okay, and so what I wanted to share was like when I was working in hotel industry, it was like I used like it's about a self control type. Well, I mean, no one should try that. I mean, I used to order ice cream each and every day, and especially 2 times a day. So, so basically, not just ice cream, any types of chocolates or anything, pastries and all these things, because Sabel was just beside our office. So, like I was working in ITC, so it's like I had ice cream the whole year, 365 days, and I'd be like, right now, if you bring any ice cream or any pastries or anything which is sweet in nature, I feel like vomiting, literally vomiting. So, like Swamiji says, right? Happiness, like if it's material happiness are like it's very short. So that's why I have consumed it in such a way that I feel even lots of fridge, like lots of dark chocolates are inside my fridge right now because of my mother is sick, so that's why doctor have prescribed. But I don't feel like eating that. Like, what to say?
That's good. You have grown out of it, which is good, because we don't want to keep on building a craving for something which is not good for us. So I'm glad you said that, but you are able to grow out of it, which is wonderful. Very nice. By the way, do you know which country consumes most ice cream in the world? How many liters of ice cream per unit capita? That's a trivia question. It is New Zealand. Okay. So don't plan to be born in a New Zealand in our next life. Okay. I'm glad you have overcome your fascination for ice cream already. Okay. Chandruji, please.
Radhe Radhe Chandruji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Pallavi,
turning on your
Radhe Radhe
video.
Nitin
Radhe
ji.
Radhe Chandruji.
Today's discussion is so very important, and I feel it's really very helpful to me today. Also, being Hanuman Jayanti, it's like I'm getting this Gyan Sagar knowledge of real importance. You know why? Because I have moved into this new place, and I want my son to come and stay with me. And I feel this is a happiness for me, and he'll be my support and he'll be helpful to me. And this desire is just kind of a hankering me. But today I'm making a decision that take your, spiritual journey to a higher level and think and ponder and, take Hanumanji's message that this desire is not going to give you happiness. It's only going to bring you more problems and more questions and more frustration. So thank you. I really appreciate your knowledge that you have shared with us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Chandruji. It's all Swamiji. He's made it so easy for us. If you simply go through his commentary in his Bhagavad Gita, it flows like a river. And we are fortunate to get an opportunity to, do that snan or bathe in that knowledge every day. And that too in greater detail because we have time and we have a wonderful group of satsangis who are patient and tolerant and don't mind even if we go slow. So thank you so much, Chandruji, and I'm glad to hear your resolve. Some aha moment has happened for you, surely, and that is the beauty of Bhagavad Gita. We never know which nugget of wisdom can actually transform our life. One is good enough to change our life. Thank you, Chandruji. Yes, what happened? The garland you have, that Samji, what kind of a garland are you in right now?
I'm looking funny now.
You are funny. You don't have to look funny.
What is that?
I said you are funny. You don't have to look funny.
Yeah. Yeah. So Nitinji, Sumeshji was telling, looks like he's getting attached to you.
Can
Earlier,
you mute her? Okay, go ahead.
No.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
So I was also thinking, just in case, if during death, Swamiji or God doesn't come into our mind, I was thinking my second recourse will be someone like you. I mean, who is advanced? At least I thought, because even if you are not God realized, you'll definitely have a good birds. If we are attached to you, we will also have good birds. We will also have
You are putting a lot of pressure on me to do something really good, okay? Because I don't want to jeopardize anybody's journey. But again, I say,
yeah,
have a safe bet in life, okay? Don't take a chance. You don't know where people would go, right? Yeah, Monica ji is going to say something as well.
Even if you take birth in polar bear, see, gopis don't mind taking birth in any species.
Okay.
So we can have satsang even in polar bear species. We can have satsangs.
Good luck is all I can tell you.
Okay.
Good luck.
As long as your association is there, that's okay.
Good luck. That's all I can tell you. Let's hear from Monica ji. Monica, you want to say something?
Please go ahead,
Yes.
Monica ji.
Sing today Hanumanji's bhajan.
Huh?
Are you going to sing today Hanumanji's bhajan?
Nitin, honestly, after COVID, my throat is gone. I was a decent singer before. Now I'm a bad singer. So I gana chhod diya, but I'll rely on your song now. So I was about to say, I don't blame anybody जो आपको follow करते हैं नितिन जी. But then solution के लिए, one piece of nugget that you were saying ना कि one piece of information can change anybody's life. I remember you saying कि आपके जो भी spaces हैं, उसको आप सब कृष्णा के sign, गुरुजी के sign से भर दीजिए. So even after your wherever you, I mean not you, but anybody would die. उस room में हर जगह photo लगा दीजिए, हर जगह मोरपंख लगा दीजिए. So आंखों से जब तक प्राण नहीं निकलेंगे तब तक तो दिखाई दे जाएंगे.
Very nice. Wonderful. Anything that works for us actually, that helps us take our mind to God and Guru. So koi bhi cheez ho, whatever trigger we can use for ourselves is all good basically. Great discussion. So can we move on to Suvarna ji? Thank you for turning on your video. Everybody, Mahi ji, Abhishek, Prabhat ji, Sam ji always does, Himangini ji, And Sandhya is upon Pallavi, they always do that, and Urvi, like always, and Monica ji. So thank you. And thank you to myself also. I see myself here as well on the screen. So thank you
Shyamji,
everybody for
Abhishek ji, I
turning.
think.
Yeah. Umesh ji, Sam ji. Yeah. Thank you everybody for turning on your videos. Rahul as well. Okay. All right. We'll probably do a picture day sometime soon. Okay. We'll give you a sufficient advance notice around it. And Eva Arora. Shyamji, your daughter is becoming regular, looks like. Diva, is it because your dad gives you the work that, okay, some seva is going to come my way, so you get ready for it? No?
No, no, nothing like that. I remember always I join at 7 p.m. every day.
Okay, okay. Hope you're finding it beneficial, the sessions.
Yes, yes.
Great. Awesome. Very nice. Okay, so we move on to our devotional segment. The session is, I know, already over. Anybody who wanted to recite any bhajan today because it's Hanuman Jayanti?
Nitinji,
Yeah, I was joking, okay, but I wanted somebody else. Anybody who wants to do that?
I can offer bhajan to Hanumanji.
Sure, Pallaviji. So let me offer it before you do, because after your bhajan, we don't want to hear anything else, right? Okay, so I'll sing a couple of lines because I went to temple and I liked that bhajan. And I think probably Sam or somebody sang it a few days back as well. मेरे राम कहाँ है बता दो भली, बजरंग बली बजरंग बली। मेरे राम कहाँ है बता दो भली, बजरंग बली बजरंग बली। मैं खोज रहा चलते फिरते, पर राम नहीं मुझको मिलते। भरमाय रहा यह मन नकली, बजरंग बली बजरंग बली। तुम सा बल पौरुष ज्ञान नहीं, मन की मजबूत कमान नहीं। यह देह मेरी दुबली पतली, बजरंग बली बजरंग बली। प्रभु के तुम पावन सेवक हो, मुझसे भी भला कछु भाव कहो। जिससे ही की खिल जाए कली, बजरंग बली बजरंग बली। श्री राम जय जय राम, श्री राम जय जय राम। जय सिया राम बोलो, जय सिया राम, जय सिया राम बोलो, जय सिया राम। जय सिया राम बोलो, जय सिया राम, जय सिया राम बोलो, जय सिया राम। All right, thank you. That was my Bajrangabali bhajan. Okay, who else is going to sing now?
Surinder ji, are you going to sing? Thank you.
Just a line to add to Nitin ji. मेरे राम है वहीं जहाँ है बजरंग बली। राधे राधे।
Very nice. Thank you. Thank you so much, Surinder ji. The next one, I think we're going to have Pallavi ji, and she's going to sing a bhajan. Sumeshi, you wanted to sing as well? You can go quick.
I want to sing Guru Mantra.
Sure.
ध्यान मूलम गुरु मूर्ति, पूजा मूलम गुरु पदम, मंत्रमूलं गुरुर्वाक्यं मोक्षमूलं गुरु कृपा. राधे राधे.
Very nice. Thank you. Short and sweet. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you. Thank you, Sumesh ji.
All right, Pallavi ji, all
Yeah.
yours.
Yes. Radhe Radhe. मंगल मूर्ति राम दुलारे आन पड़ाब तेरे द्वारे हे बजरंग बली हनुमान हे महावीर करो कल्याण हे महावीर करो कल्याण तीनों लोक तेरा उजियारा दुखियों का तूने काज संवारा हे जगबंदन केसरी नंदन कष्ट हरो हे कृपा निधान मंगल मूर्ति राम दुलारे आन पड़ाब तेरे द्वारे हे बजरंग बली हनुमान हे महावीर करो कल्याण तेरे द्वारे जो भी आया खाली नहीं कोई लौटाया दुर्गम काज बना बनहारे मंगल में दीजो वरदान मंगल मूर्ति राम दुलारे आन पड़ाब तेरे द्वारे हे बजरंग बली हनुमान हे महावीर करो कल्याण हे महावीर करो कल्याण तेरा सुमिरन हनुमत बीरा नासे रोग हरे सब पीड़ा राम लखन सीता मन बसिया शरण पड़े का कीजे ध्यान मंगल मूर्ति राम दुलारे.
So nice, Pallavi ji. Very, very nice. It's the first time I'm hearing this, but beautiful.
This bhajan is from Shri Hariom Saranji, and it is very, very beautiful bhajan. I really like it. This is my favorite Bajrang Bali bhajan.
Loved it. And the way you sing it is, your voice is so melodious. And of course, the bhav is the secret sauce, right? So loved it. Very, very nice. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you for the opportunity. Always my pleasure. Thank you, everyone.
Hanuman ji would be extremely pleased today for sure.
Actually, I sing this bhajan every Tuesday to Hanuman ji.
Okay, very nice. Wonderful. Thank you for doing it in our session and helping us devour that nectar as well, melodious nectar as well. Loved it. Okay, I know we are on time now, 10:30. So look forward to seeing you tomorrow. We'll continue on our discussion with another engaging topic, the next shloka that we are going to do, and much more. By the way, I wanted to give you a heads up that I'm still working on the assessment part of it. So we are going to make some announcements on Friday around all the fantastic presentations that happened. So look forward to that, and also the productive call that we had around the next set of assignments. So I'm really excited for each one of the teams, that exciting stuff that we are going to build going forward. So Varnaji, you wanted to say something? It's always good to see you when you turn on your camera. You are having a hearty laugh, okay? I know a lot of people made jokes on me. That's probably why.
It was really nice listening to everybody, their thoughts, and how devoted they are to you. And really admire your honesty, your grounded nature, Nitinji. The way you explained Sumeshji about his actions and what he should do, and focus on God and meditate on Guru. So I really admire that. But you are our nectar on a daily basis, Nitinji. It's very nice to listen to you and then get the spiritual knowledge. It makes the day. That's all I wanted to add.
No, that's a good thing. It's a good spot to be in the sense that it is Guru Seva, right? Not everybody gets it that way. But again, we have to look at it in perspective too. So we need to have a one-on-one from Ishi very soon. See, I was very honest with you, so you have to trust me. Like you trust me on Bhagavad Gita, so whatever I say, you got to trust me. And I want the best for you. That's why I told you that. So yes, Hemangini ji, and thank you,
Yes.
Suvarna ji. Always good to see you, and we excited to. I think your team captains are anyway going to reach out to you. The next set of assignments we are going to take up in Seva, so we are all geared up for that.
Yeah, surely, surely.
Thank you for turning on your video.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now there's so many discussion going on that who are the judges. Everybody is
We don't
excited
want
to know.
people to be influencing the judges and calling them up. So judges will remain a secret, okay, until the results are out.
So who are the secret judges? That's the discussion going on.
Okay, Sam is one of the judges. So anybody who wants to ask question, I'll give you personally Sam's number. Okay, she's one of the judges.
Himangani ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, happy Hanumanji, everyone. I
Yes.
found today's session really beneficial, huh? It's a continuation from the Patanjali Yoga Sutta Pratyahara. It's been
Pratyahara.
like having
Patanjali Yoga
my
Sutra
bowl of
concept.
ice cream today.
Sorry.
That's the feeling. I've had my bowl of ice cream today.
Okay.
It's a beautiful session. Very, very, very beneficial. Thank you so much to everyone.
Yeah, I should. Thanks to everyone for making it a very enriching session. The vibe that you bring in, the enthusiasm that you will bring in, the smiles that you bring in, it makes it the session that it is. Okay, that's where. And thank you everybody for that. Okay,
Beautiful.
so let's catch up tomorrow. And Radhe Radhe from my side. Good day and good rest of your evening as well. Radhe Radhe. Bye.
Thank you so much, Nitinji, as usual, for an awesome class. And thanks to everyone for wonderful participation. Have a blessed day.
Yeah.
See you all tomorrow.
See you
Radhe
tomorrow.
Radhe.